All righty. Well, welcome and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dewana Almatine. I am the Director of Grants and Contracts for the Family League of Baltimore. We welcome you this afternoon to our 2021 American Rescue Plan Act, also known as ARPA, Child Care Stability Fund information session. We are so thrilled and excited that each of you have been selected as the recipients of this new Child Care Stability Fund grant to assist you in your efforts in providing essential and critical child care services to the children, families, and communities of Baltimore City. We recognize that child care centers play a very pivotal role in many aspects of Baltimore City's overall mental, physical, and economic health and well-being and its workforce. We are hopeful that these grant funds can continue to help weather the challenges that you have faced over the past 2 years in sustaining your programs and business operations during this continuing pandemic crisis. This morning's session will highlight 5 important areas of the next steps in the grant awarding process, which include the award letter, the grantee agreement, the required final expense report, data reporting requirements, and the electronic document signing process. This is to ensure that both the award letter and grantee agreement are both signed and executed correctly and timely, allowing you to successfully receive the funds into your financial banking institution. Before we get started, I would like to go over a few housekeeping items. First, we want to advise everyone that this virtual meeting is being recorded and will be made available on our website for your viewing on Tuesday, January the 18th. Secondly, there will be an opportunity for you to ask any questions that you may have in the chat function of the session, which is located at the top right corner of your screen. So feel free to insert your questions there, excuse me, and we will gladly address them at the end of this session. We will answer the questions in the order that they are received. Thirdly, I want to share the Child Care Stability Fund project email address with you, which is stabilizedchildcare@familyleague.org, where you can email any questions that you may have to the project team. Again, the email address is stabilizedchildcare@familyleague.org. So please feel free to reach out to the team if you have any questions. They will be very happy to assist you. Lastly, we will be going over certain highlights of the award letter and the grantee agreement that are very important components to your compliance and acceptance of this grant. However, we recommend that once you receive the documents, please read over them closely to gain a full understanding of the terms detailed in these documents. You will be receiving the award letter and grant agreement on Tuesday, January the 25th, but we want it to be proactive in providing you with the important information so that you are prepared once we are ready to proceed with distributing you with the grant funds. We don't plan on holding you too long this afternoon because we know that you need to get back to our precious little ones on this happy Friday. So I'll now go over the award letter. As you see here, you will receive the award letter. It's a 2-page document, and it's basically congratulating you as an awardee on your approval to receive the grant funds. It lightly details the terms of the agreement as you see here. And so we again ask that when you do review it, when you do receive it, please read over it thoroughly. It must be signed within 5 days of receipt of the document. So when you do receive it, you do have 5 days to review and then sign the document. This is what the grantee agreement will look like. It provides very specific details in terms of the award grant, and it must also be signed within 5 days of receipt of the document. Excuse me. And then this is page 1 of the grant agreement. And on page 1, it gives specific details of the purpose of these grant funds. You will also have various certification and attestations as a grantee. And some of them are that you are a child care center or home and that you are state licensed. Number 2, that you will use the funds to support your ongoing child care operations. And this is a very important component as well. If you received a COVID-19 payment protection program, which is also known as a PPP loan, and/or an economic injury disaster loan, also known as an EIDL or EIDL loan, available through the CARES Act. If you obtain one as a daycare provider, as a business or sole proprietor, duplication of the benefits is prohibited. These new funds that you are receiving from us must be used in a different way than they were received for these loans. So that's a very important component. If the grantee is a subsidiary of another company, the grant funds can only be used for the Baltimore City child care location. And also on the first page of the agreement, it details the grant eligibility requirements. It also details the acknowledgement and agreeance terms. So it goes over the purpose of the grant, the description of the services, the payment for services, which also includes the not to exceed award amount, which will be the amount that you are being awarded for this grant. It goes over the timeline of services and expenses. So this grant can be used for expenses that you have incurred from March 4th, 2021 to December 30th, 2022. So those are very important dates to remember. So those expenses are incurred from March 4th, 2021 to December 30th, 2022. It also provides, again, the Child Care Stability Fund email address if you have any inquiries or questions, which is stabilizedchildcare@familyleague.org. This page also includes the indemnification clause and also the independent contractor clause. So these are just legal pieces that has to be included into the agreement, but very important for you to read as well. It also includes expense and accounting details. So it's very important for each of you to maintain appropriate records for proper accounting and use of all your funds and expenses. So that's a very important piece and component. It's very important for you to retain your records as well. You must maintain the records for this grant for a minimum of 7 years, just in case it's requested. This also provides details over the importance of criminal background checks, an anti-bribery clause, ownership of work product clause, an insurance requirement, and other miscellaneous clauses as well. The last page of the agreement is actually the signature page, which will be signed by our president and CEO. And then this is where you would sign as well. So this must be signed and dated by the owner of the daycare. A copy of the agreement will be emailed to you once the final signature has been obtained. And again, we encourage you to keep a copy for your records. Also a part of the agreement will be the scope of work, which is also known as Attachment A. And this details the background of the grant's purpose. It also provides a detail of deliverables that you must provide, which are, of course, essential child care services, detailed records and accounts, and a final expense report, which we'll be going over in just a moment as well. Again, the timeline of these expenses incurred, again, are March 4th, 2021 through December 30th, 2022. And it also will include the amount of the award that you will be receiving. Okay, now I'll be turning it over to our Senior Director of Finance, Kiana Thompson, and she will be going over the final expense report with you. Kiana.
Thanks, Dewana. Good afternoon, everyone. So this expense report template may look very familiar to you because it actually mirrors the budget template that you completed during your application process. Just as a reminder, you can use expenses that are backdated to March 4th, 2021, and use expenses through December 30, 2022. This template right here is just pre-populated as an example of what your report should look like. So on here, we have 4 line items that we use this money for. I do want to point out that all fields are required on this form. So for instance, we definitely need your business name and the owner and or director's name at the top. You want to also, where it says total grant amount received, that will be the amount that shows up on your award letter and in your contract. So you will populate it in that box. The good thing about this form is it tallies up the total expenses for you. So you want to make sure as you're entering your expenses, make sure the bottom line equals that top total grant total grant amount received. Okay, so you're going to enter all the expenses line by line. So in this sample, we purchased COVID-related cleaning supplies. So we calculated them at $200 a month for 3 months. And as you see, I listed out the months in which I expensed those cleaning supplies. So then that comes out to the $600. So the next one, let's say one of your staff members or yourself took a CPR session that costs $150. As you see, it's populated over there. And then if you needed assistance with accounting for your expenses for this particular grant, in this example, we had a flat fee of $250. As you see, there's a thorough description regarding when we had those services rendered for us. So it's 2 months. It's a flat fee of $250. So we put that over there. And then finally, we included rent it could be for your center or your home. So we just estimated $1,500 a month for 6 months. And then that's where you see the total of $9,000. And then you see at the bottom where it says total is $10,000, which matches the total grant amount received. These reports are due on January 15th, 2023, and you're going to email them to stabilizedchildcare@familyleague.org. This email address has been uploaded into the chat session. If you need to copy it onto your computer, you can do so. I just want to point out, if you have any underspending funds, they definitely have to be returned to Family League 30 days after the grant end date. So say your grant end date is December 30, 2022, they must be returned, the funds must be returned to Family League by January 30, 2023. Next slide, one. So for the American Rescue Plan Act funds, there is a data reporting component. We did not have this requirement last year, but this year, the federal government is now wanting to collect data to see what the impact of this funding has on businesses. So with the data reporting, you're going to receive 2 surveys to collect this data. The first survey is going to be data collected for 6 months after the award, and then 12 months. So they want to kind of measure the impact on your business 6 months out after receiving the award, and then a whole year after receiving the award. So a lot of the questions that they ask are similar to the application questions. So your organization name, the primary contact, which is typically the director or the owner of the daycare. The location is Baltimore City. All of the childcare centers for this grant award are located in Baltimore City. And then they're going to ask for the federal ID number, also known as a tax ID number for your business, or if you use your social security number, you want to provide that. And then they're going to ask for the application window when the grant funds were awarded. That's the date you receive your award and contract for signature. And then the amount of the grant received is going to be equivalent to your award amount, which is located on the award letter as well as the contract. And then these next components are the ones that will be at the 6-month and 1-year survey. So they're going to ask for your annual revenue. They're going to ask for 12 months prior to this application, and then 1 year after the application. Then they're going to ask for the number of employees. How many employees did you have when you applied? And this includes full-time, part-time, and contractual temporary. You can just lump them all into one and consider them all employees. So they'll ask for it also at 6 months and then at 1 year later. Then they're also going to ask the total government assistance received. So that's the PPP, the Payment Protection Program loan, if you had that, if you had the EIDL loan, any state issued COVID related relief loans. This does not include personal assistance that you may receive like SNAP or temporary cash assistance. So again, it's going to ask for this what assistance you received 12 months prior to this application, then at 6 months after this application, then at 1 year after this application. And then the last component is the amount of funding received from other sources other than the ones that we just mentioned above. So maybe you got a loan from your bank, family, friends, things of that nature. And then that's like if you receive these funds 12 months prior to the application, 6 months after this award, and 1 year after this award. Okay. And again, if you have any questions about these items, you can populate it into the chat and then we'll be happy to answer them for you. And now I'm going to turn it back over to Dewana to go over the document signing process.
Okay, thank you so much, Kiana. All righty. So now what we'll do is go over the document signing process, which many of you may be familiar with, but for those who are not, I wanted to make sure that we went over the process with you. So you're going to receive an email from DocuSign. It'll be docusign.com with an award letter and a grant agreement for signature and dating. And this is exactly what it will look like. You're going to click the yellow button that says review document, and then it walks you through step-by-step instructions to sign and date the award letter and grant agreement. You will then select the checkbox to agree to use electronic records and signatures, which is here in the middle of the page. You're going to check that box. And then here where you see continued faded out, once you click the checkbox, that continue will be in bright yellow. You will then check that box. Click continue to initiate the signing process. You will then click start, which is here highlighted in yellow and red, the tag on the left, and it will forward you to the first signing tag requiring the action of you signing. You then click sign, click the sign tag. And then here you will adopt your signature. You'll verify that your name and signature are correct. If not, you have the ability to change them as needed. You are then asked to adopt your signature, where you will click the adopt and sign button, this yellow button at the bottom, to save your signature information and return to the document to continue to sign it. You will confirm signing when you finish clicking the signature tags in the document. Confirm signing by clicking the word finish. Okay, so that's a very somewhat of an easy process, but for those who have not encountered it before, again, we just wanted to walk you through step by step, but that's the way your grant agreement and your award letter will be provided to you, so that you can sign it. So once you finalize signing both the award letter and the grant agreement, a copy of both documents will be emailed to you to retain for your records. Again, we highly recommend that you save and keep these records in your important records file. You must maintain and retain all records for a minimum of 7 years. We want to reiterate that the expenses, as Kiana highlighted with you, will cover expenses from March 4th, 2021 through December 30th, 2022. Also, and as previously stated, you'll be receiving the award letter and grant agreement on January the 25th. So remember, you have 5 days from receiving that to review and sign the documents. So please be mindful of that time frame. Now, this concludes our presentation, but we do want to now check the chat to kind of go over any questions that you all may have. Let's see. Okay. Okay, great. Does it look like we have any outstanding here that needs to be answered? It looks like, thank you so much, Yolanda, for manning it as well. We appreciate it. Okay. So you need to have DocuSign software on your computer. I do see that. Thank you, Rosetta. No, you do not. So once you receive that email, it links you to the DocuSign software so that you can. So it's nothing that you need to upload, excuse me, upload on your computer. So that you do not have to do that. Thank you so much for your question. Okay, when do we expect to receive the funds? Kiana, I'm going to kind of throw that to you because it's very highly contingent upon the routing number and banking information that's been provided and getting through that process.
Yep. So when you receive your award and your contract from DeWanna, or I'm sorry, the grants and contracts team, you want to make sure that you review it immediately and sign. Upon us receiving it, we will issue the funds within 5 business days.
Awesome. Okay. The question is, are we to resubmit the budget?
If you're asking, can you make a budget change or correction, you want to email those changes to stabilizedchildcare@familyleague.org.
Awesome. What day will we be receiving the actual grant? I'm sorry, excuse me, everyone. I'm getting over a cold, so I have a slight cough. So excuse me. What day will you be receiving the actual grant? So you will be receiving the award letter and grantee agreement on January the 25th. You have 5 days from that date to sign it. When you do sign it, is then when it will go into the finance process of getting the funds distributed to you. So that's really the process. So once you do the signing part, we then go to the next step of requesting that the funds be routed to your bank account.
I see a question about paying property taxes. No, you cannot use these funds to pay property taxes. The allowable expenses are already pre-populated on the template.
Okay. Do I need to submit another budget letter tomorrow?
I'm not sure what you mean about a budget letter. If you're talking about a budget template that needs to be revised, you can send it to the email address stabilizedchildcare@familyleague.org.
And if that doesn't answer your question or we misunderstood your question, we ask that you just resubmit it with more detail, and we're more than happy to answer it.
I do see a question. Do you have to have a business bank account? No, it could be either business or personal.
And some of the questions I see here are kind of the same, just making sure that everyone knows January 25th is the date to look out for the DocuSign. I see that it's referenced here as DocuShare, but it's DocuSign, so look out for it on Tuesday, January the 25th.
There is a question about items that, can people spend this award on the same expense types as they did with, let's say, last year's award or their PPP? You can spend it on the same type of expenses, but it cannot be for the same exact period. So for instance, if I received a child care stability award last year and I used it for my February 2021 rent, or let me not say February, I'll say for my April 2021 rent, this award, I can't include rent as a reimbursable expense for April 2021 again. I would use it for any time period that I did not use my prior award amount for.
They did, they have a question. Do we include the child care stabilization grant in the data reporting? So the amount, the funds that they received from the last child care stability fund grant?
Yes.
Yes, so the answer is yes, include that into the data reporting.
Mm-hmm.
How do we complete a direct deposit form?
So we don't have a direct deposit form. When you completed your application, that's when you entered your bank information. So whatever bank you used, whatever bank account, a bank account type that you entered into the application, that's what we're using to remit payment for this award. If you need to make changes to that, please email them to stabilizechildcare@familylead.org, and definitely specify your child care center name, your name, and make sure you use the same exact email address that you used when you completed the application.
All right, Jeffrey, I see that you say, I just filed my account information with the second grant application. How will I receive this first award? I'm not really sure what that means. So if you could give a little more detail on that question, Jeffrey, I'm not really sure what that means.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just someone else asking for clarification, which I think you did, Kiana, share clarification of not using the funds for the same items as used for the PPP. So Kiana did just give a thorough overview of that.
Yeah, I can actually reiterate it. So you can use it for the same items, just not for the same time period. So if I use last year's money to cover April 2021 rent, I can't use this award to cover April 2021 rent, but I can use it to cover May or June 2021 rent.
Right. How can we go back to our application? Where we did our budget template? So is it a way for them to retrieve it?
No, but you cannot go back to the application because the application is closed. However, after you completed your application, you should have received a copy of it when you received your confirmation that we received your application. If you will be receiving an expense report template as part of your contract.
All right, Miss Maddie, let's see. I missed out on some things. Will this Zoom be on again? It's actually being recorded and it will be made available on our website, familylead.org, on Tuesday, January the 18th. So it will be made available to you. Also, we'll be emailing it out to all of the participants as well, so you can have a copy as well.
Someone asked, can you use these funds to put up a privacy fence? The answer is no. You, on the template, the expense report template and the budget template that you completed, we listed out the allowable expenses. You cannot deviate from those expenses, those line items listed on those templates. It has to be whatever is listed, that's what's allowed with these funds. Someone asked, can they use the budget template for their expense report? The answer is no, because it's slightly different. So you need to use the expense report template that you will be receiving.
Can you use funds for home repairs?
No, it's going to be just whatever's allowed. Those expenses are listed out on the template, and home repairs is not one of them.
So we do have a question about mailing a check.
We do not mail checks. We're strictly EFT. Checks are not an option.
Mhm.
And EFT stands for electronic funds transfer.
So I think Erica, Wilkins, I see that you asked a question about redoing your daycare bathroom. And so I think that would equate to home repairs. So
It's no.
the answer is no to that as well. Yeah. All right, if we have already submitted a budget, but it's over 10,000 at the bottom, do we need to resubmit a budget template?
No, you did not. Your award amount will be capped off at the amount in which you're eligible for.
Will this grant be deposited into the same account used for my Family League monthly reimbursement?
It's going to be deposited into the bank account that you entered in the application.
Okay. So here's a question about property taxes, but they're just asking because property taxes is part of mortgage payments. So does that then exclude property taxes? It's in the mortgage if it's included already, property tax.
Right, you should exclude the taxes. For your mortgage, there'll be a principal amount. Since these are federal funds, you should just include that principal amount.
Okay. From Robin, are more funding opportunities forthcoming for Baltimore City providers? Okay.
You want to field that?
Okay.
Okay.
Sure. Well, right now there aren't any additional child care funds, but you know, we always say check our website regularly. There may be some forthcoming opportunities, but right now we have exhausted all of these funds.
I see a question regarding the expense the expense report. It says that does the top grant amount 10,000 have to equal exactly 10,000 that you, as to the amount you spend, oftentimes more is spent than the award amount. So for the expense report template, you need to put in the award amount that you received, because that's the amount that we would pay up to. It says, do we need to send a finalized budget template by January 15th without knowing how much our award is? No, so that January 15th due date is for 2023, after your grant ends. That's when it's due by. If you spend all your award money prior to that date, you can send your expense report in as soon as you know the expenses.
What happens if a provider did not get an acceptance and rejection email? Is there a way of knowing whether one is accepted or rejected? You can reach out to Stabilized Childcare at familylead.org to inquire about that. Okay. Again, that's Stabilized childcare at familyleague.org.
Someone asked again about checks being mailed out. We do not have physical checks that can be mailed out. We send all payments electronically. Someone asked, I'm not sure if I gave my account info for this award, will the monies be deposited into my monthly family account? Based on the information that we received in the application portal, we didn't see anybody with missing bank account information. If you want to confirm that we have the proper information, you can email us at stabilizedchildcare@familyleague.org, and then someone will be able to check that out for you.
Can the entire amount be used for salary or bonuses payments for family providers?
So if you're on salary, yes, you can do that. Mhm.
How and bonuses?
If bonuses are being recorded as part of your payroll, yes, you can do that.
Okay. Okay. What if you didn't fill out a bank deposit form? But it sounds as though you just shared that everyone provided that information.
They did, and it was a required field in the application, so you wouldn't have been able to submit your application without completing that information.
Sabrina Peterson is saying on the application for the deposit, it just asked me, do I already have a deposit form on file? So I pushed yes. Was that okay?
That you may be getting that confused with another application for childcare stability. On the Family League's application, that was not included in ours included for under the bank information section. It would have been your bank name, your bank routing number, your account type, and your bank account number.
Right. How much is the award? The award amount, everyone will be aware of their award amount once they receive their award letter and grant agreement on the 25th. So that's when you will be provided with that detail. Are you sending a list of what we can use the funds on, correct? That is actually in the agreement. So that's why we're asking, when you do get the documents, to please read over them thoroughly, because it provides you with the level of detail that you need to an understanding of what the funds can be used for.
And just a note on the allowable expenses, that directive is coming from the federal level. We do not decide on how these funds can be spent. They're actually written into our contract where it's saying, okay, the providers can only spend money on these expense types. We do not make that decision.
Is this grant taxable?
No.
Okay. I don't see any, let's see, I'm kind of checking the other chat, but it looks like a lot of the questions are very similar. They're asking, is the data reporting requirement is going to be sent in a questionnaire format?
It's going to be, yes, but it will look like a survey.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to point out Ruthie Samuels, we need her comment, we need to meet with the federal government. I totally agree with that.
Yeah. Does this grant have a max amount given? The maximum amount that was given out to recipients?
So there were 3 different tiers based on the number of children served, if that's the question.
Yes. And it does sound like someone, thank you, Tammy Malone. It says she's stating that some are getting the MSD grant confused with the
Mhm.
our child care grant. So thank you so much for that, Tammy. You know, it's a good thing that everyone's getting funding and you have multiple grants. But, you know, we just want to make sure you're clear. And the clarity really is when you read the agreement and the award letter, and it'll provide you with all the information you need. Also, if you have any other questions, you know, definitely reach out to the project team, and they will answer those questions. We thank you, Yolanda. Our coworker, our colleague Yolanda is great at responding to all of you with respect to the questions that you have regarding it. Okay. All right, so I think we may have answered all of the questions, and so we're going to go ahead and conclude this session, but we do want to thank all of you again. We had a great turnout today. We are excited, very, very thrilled to be able to award all of you with these grants and funds to continue doing the great work that you do, taking care of our little ones and helping our families and children of Baltimore. So we want to thank you and we wish you all a wonderful new year and continued business operation and great success in your business as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.